I love beating the Braves.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Marlins. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. I've been podcasting about the Marlins for 4 seasons. Go hit me up on X at Jeremiah Geiger 2. And thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every single day. Don't forget to hit subscribe on the YouTube channel and let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comments section. And on today's show, I'm going to be recapping the series against the Atlanta Braves. The Marlins take 2 out of 3, but I'm really going to focus on each of the starting pitchers that went in this series. Janson Junk, Eury Perez, and Sandy Alcantara. But before all that, I want to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So let's start with the first pitcher who appeared in this series on Friday, Mr. Janson Junk, one of the best baseball names in the game. He had an opportunity to make his first start in a Marlins uniform, not appearance, and I wouldn't even argue that he hasn't been a starter for this team, because he has. He's been a glorified starter with his relief appearances, much often coming in long relief role. Like 2 out of his previous 5 outings were 5 innings. He hadn't pitched more than 4 innings in any of his 5 outings. But he gets the call to start against a very good Braves lineup. You know, the record aside, the Braves still have firepower. They still have guys that can do damage. You think of Austin Riley, Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna Jr., who is a Marlins killer in his career. The Braves were rolling into Miami with momentum. They had just swept the New York Mets, and now they get to play the lowly Marlins, and it's a good opportunity for them, but it's also a great opportunity for the Marlins to get some momentum and really compete against a tough opponent. And that's exactly what Janson Junk did. And I think his outing on Friday night really kind of solidified the argument that he should be in the Marlins rotation. So the Marlins win the game by a score of 6-2. Almost got that one confused with the other one. But he goes 5 innings, 5 hits, 1 run. It was earned, no walks, and 5 strikeouts. Marlins win that one 6-2, and Junk got the win. He got the victory. He pitched awesome. What I really love about Janson Junk is his ability to just command the strike zone. You know, too often over the last few years, or even this season in particular, we'll see an exciting young arm on the Marlins just have good stuff, but not able to fully control it and throw strikes and be effective, because the pitch count gets up and you ultimately leave the game early. Janson Junk this season has walked 2 batters in 27 2/3 innings. 2 batters. Last game against the Braves, he pounded the strike zone at a 77% clip. He's in and around the zone, and the stuff is good enough in order to make it happen. He's not just sitting there soft tossing it, throwing meatballs and guys are going to tee off. He's able to go get some strikeouts as well. He has 25 strikeouts to his name. In fact, apart from that one bad outing against the Pirates a couple weeks ago, in which he allowed 5 earned runs, he's only allowed 1 run in 3 other appearances, including Atlanta. No other multi-run games. Like, Junk has been very effective for this team. And there's a point where, you look at the rotation and you look at that final spot. Who was going to fill that final spot when Ryan Weathers went down with injury? I think the answer is clear. It's Janson Junk. Adam Major had a cameo last week, and I said that if Major pitched well, he should be afforded the opportunity to stick in this rotation. But what I think Janson Junk has done is he's done everything asked of him and more to be a starter. And it started with the long relief. First, it was going back to spring training. Junk pitched really well. He got an injury right at the end that may have affected his, roster availability to break camp on the opening day roster. Connor Gillespie got that last rotation spot. And you go to the minor leagues, you're dominant, you pitch really well, the command is there, you're dialed in, you finally get the call up, and you're in long relief, which is a interesting position for a pitcher to be in. Ask Valente Bayozo, somebody that has success as a starting pitcher, but the rotation just doesn't afford them the opportunity to, claim a spot as a starter. I mean, Junk is one of two pitchers, in my opinion. He's a late inning flamethrower who has the stuff to get those outs in high leverage situations, or he's a starter. There's no in between. This long relief role, I don't think he was being utilized as effective as he should be. But it gave him the opportunity to kind of prove himself, hey, I deserve a chance at this rotation gig. Let me get in there and let me show what I got. And he absolutely did. Now, his next start is going to be in San Francisco against the lineup that isn't as strong on paper, I would say, as Atlanta. Now, you do factor in it's away. You're not going to be at home. It's a different ballpark. And all of a sudden, you're going to have guys like Rafael Devers, who actually homered this past weekend against his former team. It's another good step. An opportunity. I love viewing things with this young Marlins team as opportunities instead of hindrances or, potential disasters. Everything should be viewed through the lens of opportunity. And that's what Junk has ahead of him. But as for right now, he absolutely should be in this rotation. Coming up next, I'm going to talk more about Eury Perez. Eury Perez, the Marlins, in that middle game of the series, lost 7-0. But it is what it is. Eury Perez looked great to me. And you should be excited for what's ahead in his future. That's all coming up right after this. And this episode is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. If you love the no-shells variety, it's the perfect grab-and-go snack for those busy days. Whether you're snacking at your desk, you're heading on a road trip, as I'm about to do after this podcast, or you're watching some Marlins baseball, it's always a go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite as well. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein. It provides all 9 essential amino acids, and these little green wonders pack a protein punch. So whatever activity you're doing, guys, whether you're running to the meetings, you're dropping off the kids, you're heading back from the gym, and you need that post-workout snack, Wonderful Pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. If you're an everyday listener, I appreciate you for being part of the Locked On Marlins crew. If this is your first or second time listening to the show, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. And share the podcast. Share the podcast with your friends. This is going to be the last episode I do with this particular studio behind me, this little Marlins themed studio. I'm hitting the road. I'll be driving all the way from the East Coast to Arizona. And after this podcast, going to pack up the rest of my stuff and hit the road for a good 8-9 hours. And I'll be recording all week. It's just it won't be with the Marlins decor behind me. I'll be in a hotel room. LMF will be on this week as well. I know usually the Monday show, you're used to seeing LMF, but that's been postponed just a little bit for further on this week, either tomorrow or soon after. So let's talk more about Eury Perez. So I was at the beach during Saturday's game, and after I got back and I'm hot and I'm thirsty, I'm tired, been in the waves all day. I put on the Marlins game and I see they're losing 4-0. And unfortunately, Josh Simpson, I got to watch his debut. It didn't go so well. The Marlins end up losing by a score of 7-0. But I wanted to go back and re-watch Eury Perez. And that's what I did last night. So I was going to record the podcast last night. But first, I wanted to watch every single pitch from Eury Perez's start because I think it's really, really important to talk about. Eury Perez, this now is his third start, third start, yes, where he's getting better with every outing. Coming off of Tommy John surgery, you had that Pirates game in which the command just wasn't there. He had 3 innings, but it was that one bad blow-up inning. But he was having trouble really commanding his secondaries. And then you had the game against the Nationals in which he goes 4 innings, only gives up 1 run, but he doesn't strike out anyone. And he still walked 3. And now this start is at home, his first start at home in Lone Depot Park since 2023. And I think it was his best one yet by far. 4 2/3, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. His pitch count was at 89, and that was the targeted 85 to 90 pitch count range that Clayton McCullough said he was available for. I watched every pitch of this start. I rewatched it last night. And the one thing I noticed, I took a lot of notes on it. The secondary command was very good. He mixed in the slider and curveball extremely well. I want to see more of the curveball because the fastball is so good. And when you throw 100 miles an hour, you already are at a huge, huge advantage compared to these hitters. I mean, 100 miles an hour is always going to be 100 miles an hour. And he really utilized his fastball effectively and the slider down and away. So when I'm looking at the corners and you're looking at the strike zone, what Eury Perez is why he's going to be so great in this league for many years to come is, yes, the stuff is great, but when he locates it, it's almost impossible to do damage against. One of the hits he had, it was either a 2-ball or a 3-ball count with 2 strikes, and it was a 99-mile-an-hour sinker or 4-seamer right on the inside part of the plate, like painted. And Marcell Ozuna, inside out, tough swing, gets it down the line. That's what drove in the first run of the game. I have no problem with that pitch. If that's your mistake pitch that you make, and Ozuna just puts a really good swing on it, then I'll live with that. But the slider, down in the way, down in the zone, the fastball, you can paint the corners inside, outside, just not over the heart of the plate. I didn't really see too many misses with the fastball over the heart of the plate. There was one miss in particular in which he threw a curveball, which I want to see him incorporate more of, that in the changeup. And I think that's what his focus on is going to be on moving forward, is throw the curve more consistently for strikes and also throw that changeup, his 4th pitch. Throw that changeup a little bit more. But there was one pitch, he threw the curveball and left it hanging. I mean, it should have been obliterated, but it was the light hitting Nick Allen for the Braves up at the plate, and he takes a big hack and fouls it off. And you can see Eury is demonstrative on the mound. Just, what was I doing hanging that pitch? And he knows that. He knows it all comes down to command because he has the stuff. And you saw it really shine through. 6 innings. Yes, he didn't win the game. Yes, he got the loss. He didn't go 5 innings. And his ERA is at 6.17. I do not care about his ERA right now. I don't care about the fact that, he lost this game with the 3 earned runs. It doesn't matter to me because what I saw from him was clear signs of development. I mean, when you really watch Eury Perez, the talent just jumps off the page. And he's still so young. He's just 22 years old. He's so talented. There's a reason that Marlins fans want this guy extended. He is special. And there's a chance in his future that he wins a Cy Young. If not multiple. He's so good. But I just want to see just progression. It comes down to progression. And that's what I saw from Eury Perez. You didn't have to be perfect. I know the Marlins lost, and nobody's really going to pay attention to this game other than Marlins fans, or if you're or Braves fans. And yeah, you would have liked to win the game. Of course you would have. You end up losing 7-0. It's kind of a forgettable game. But I just think that Eury is so good. And I want people to understand that yes, you want to see him go 6-7 innings, and that's going to happen all in due time. It's not going to happen right off the bat. Last thing I'll say about Eury, his ERA right now is 6.17 in 11 2/3 innings because he's given up 8 earned runs. His FIP is at 2.99. So he's pitching a lot better than that ERA indicates. There's a luck factor involved as well. And those things tend to even out over time. So, and get a lot closer together. So Eury Perez's numbers are going to continue to get better as the season progresses. And I'm really excited to see the September version of Eury Perez. This is his 3rd start off of Tommy John surgery, a career-altering surgery. So give him some time to really put it all together. But this Atlanta start, man, that has me excited for what's to come. Sandy Alcantara is continuing to prove the haters wrong. Another start in the month of June in which it's a quality start. And in this one, the Marlins got the win and took the series, which makes it even sweeter. I'm going to talk more about that game and the Sandy Alcantara start right after this. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA Finals are over. Congratulations to the Oklahoma City the Oklahoma City Thunder. But that means summer sports are in full swing. And whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. You're already following the action, so why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get on the game while your friends are getting sunburned on the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and those early regular season matchups that might not be as exciting to the casual fan, when you use FanDuel, it feels like must-watch TV. Whether you're placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet right into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like you're going to be part of the action. So take advantage with those same-game parlays, because if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. A reminder, Locked On Marlins isn't just on the YouTube channel. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, all the major podcast streaming platforms out there. Sandy Alcantara continues to have a great bounce back to his season, and let's just make one thing clear. Sandy Alcantara is back. Sandy Alcantara never left. He was just figuring it out. And there was a time this season in which I was probably at my lowest in terms of hope for him and figuring it out, getting back to himself. Why did I ever doubt Sandy Alcantara? You don't doubt Sandy Alcantara. In the month of June, he hasn't allowed more than 3 runs. He's gone 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, no runs, 5 innings, 2 runs, 6 innings, 3 runs. That is consistency. That is somebody you can rely on as your ace. And he's progressively getting better competition. He had the Rockies and Pirates. And then this week, he had the Phillies and the Braves. His biggest 2-game stretch, maybe ever in his career, given the stakes and given what he has to prove and prove a lot of the doubters wrong. He's doing just that. In the month of June, in those 4 starts, 23 innings, he has 19 strikeouts and an ERA, a clean 2.74. You absolutely love to see that improvement from a month of May in which he had an ERA at the end of the month sitting over 8. I mean, that it was bad. And that was in 7 starts through April and May, or 8 starts if you count the game in March. His ERA was sitting at an 8.47. So he's brought it down to a 6.69. There's still work to be done, and I expect in the next few starts more of the same. Sandy Alcantara is one of those pitchers that when you're on the mound, or when you're in the batting box, it's never going to be an easy at-bat because of the way he attacks you. He's going to throw that sinker and that fastball, but then he has the weapons off of it. We talk about Eury Perez and, just establishing consistency with his secondaries. And that's often what Sandy Alcantara had to do early on in the season, because the walks, of course, can prove to be an issue. And they were earlier in the year. But if you can go 6-7 innings for Sandy and just give yourself, give your team a chance to win, then that's all I'm asking. You don't have to go the full 9 innings. And under this management, you're probably not going to go the 9 innings. But there's going to be a point in which Sandy goes 7. I'm pretty sure of that. All he has to do is just limit the walks, and he'll be fine. Against the Braves, he only gave up 2 walks, which you love to see that. In each of his previous 3 starts, he only walked 1 batter in each. I want to see a start where he puts it all together and goes 7 innings, 0 walks, because I can't stand walking hitters. But I love the curveball from Sandy. He'll mix it up where he goes fastball sinker heavy, and then he goes curveball dependent, which is fine. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I think it really just does depend on the team, on the game plan for that one, so everybody really gets on the same page, and you're as effective as you can be. Sandy, when it comes to Sandy, the biggest story is, will he be traded? And I can sit here and tell you, how well he did, what his pitch usage was, and that's all fine and dandy. But everybody's wondering the same thing I'm wondering. Is Sandy Alcantara going to get dealt at the deadline? I think he is. And I don't really think there's a huge argument against it, other than the fact, well, he started off April and May really, really poorly. Well, obviously he did, but what is he doing now? There's going to be the fan that says, well, look at the numbers. Why are the Marlins expecting such a substantial return? because it's Sandy Alcantara, a former Cy Young winner, who is now pitching consistently. He wasn't pitching consistently at the beginning of the year, but now he is. So will he get traded? I think he will. I wanted to mention this. Going back to the breakdowns of his pitches, he goes in this one slider. He threw that 28 times out of his 95 pitches. That led the way. Slider, sinker, and then the four-seam changeup and curveball. His curve he only threw 11 times. And if you remember, a couple starts ago, he threw it the most against the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was very curveball heavy, but he has the ability to really mix it up where he feels so confident in that slider. He can throw it for strikes and still get those whiffs, get those ground balls, and it to be a very effective pitch. If you're confident in your secondaries to lead the way and pound the strike zone with your secondaries, that velocity, that 99-mile-an-hour sinker is going to play up, and you're going to get a lot of ground balls, and you're going to get exactly what you want out of that pitch. And so when the command is there after Tommy John surgery, and you get back to your place of being dominant with your control, then you're in a really good spot as a pitcher. And I think that's really what Sandy Alcantara is now. He's back to feeling confident with his command. And we said at the beginning of the season, once Sandy was struggling, hey, it's not the stuff. It's going to come around. I'm waiting for that Sandy Alcantara start. I think this is the Sandy Alcantara we're seeing right now in June. This is Sandy Alcantara returned fully from Tommy John surgery. The guy that is pitching to a sub-3 ERA in the month of June, that could continue onward. I don't expect failure with Sandy Alcantara. He's a Cy Young winner. He's got the makeup. He's got the part. Let's go out there and finish your Marlins career on a strong note, because I do think this very well could be the end of Sandy Alcantara in a Marlins uniform. So enjoy every start you get to watch with Sandy Alcantara. There's not too often as Marlins fans you get a player that you can root for and really consider a homegrown player. I know he was a Cardinal and he made his debut with St. Louis, but Sandy has been the staple of this Marlins team. He's seen one rebuild fail. He's seen a playoff appearance. He's seen another rebuild start. And I think the time has come for him and the Marlins to part ways. The Marlins need to continue rebuilding. Sandy is the biggest trade chip they have. And if the opportunity arises, they're going to trade him. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. That's going to be a really tough day. Saying goodbye to one of your favorite players. Sandy's one of those guys that if you have a Marlins jersey of Sandy Alcantara, you keep that around. That's no throwaway player or, well, I regret buying this jersey. No. You're going to always keep that jersey because that's the Marlins' first Cy Young winner, and he's your ace. It was awesome. So it's not over yet. He's not getting traded today, I hope. I'll get a notification on my phone saying he's been dealt to the Dodgers, and, we have to do emergency podcasts, and I might have to pull over on the side of the road. There's going to be a lot of moving parts if something like that happens. But I love that he's back to being himself, and he's going to be this way, hopefully, moving forward. He's put it all together once more. That's going to do it for today's edition of Locked on Marlins. I appreciate you guys listening. And as always, stay safe, stay locked on, and let's go fish.